So over the weekend, I saw the Odyssey from Christopher Nolan. Now, I got to see it in the 70 millimeter format that it was shot in on IMAX, and it's worth the price of admission. It's really, really good. I know not everyone can afford to see an IMAX movie or lives close to an IMAX theater or can just afford the price of the $10 extra for the ticket. Even still, if you can, it is worth the price of admission, in my opinion. Even if you're not a fan of Christopher Nolan, I think it's worth it because it's just such a good movie and a good epic overall. Obviously, if you're a Christopher Nolan fan, you're going to see this because it has all of Christopher Nolan's isms throughout, especially since Dunkirk, where he shoots a lot of his movies now in IMAX. It very much continues that tradition of what you're watching in the film. Now, I'm not going to give a movie review. If you want to know my thoughts on it, it's good. Go watch it. But what I'm really going to talk about is what Christopher Nolan's arguments about history and his message essentially is, and what he's trying to frame within the movie as an argument about the Bronze Age. And so this could kind of lead to spoiler territory. So if you're not interested in hearing that, you don't want to spoil the surprise for yourself or make the connections for yourself, stop right here. Don't keep watching. But if you don't really care about that or you're interested in it and it's not going to spoil the movie for you anyways, keep watching. So what Nolan essentially argues with the Odyssey, with his retelling of Odysseus' story and the Trojan War in general, is that the Trojan War caused the Bronze Age collapse. Now, he's not saying that in a very literal historical sense, but in a very metaphysical sense, that the Trojan War and how it was won and how Odysseus chose to win it, with the giving of the Trojan horse, the essentially breaking of custom, guest rights, which is mentioned so much in the movie, the law of Zeus, Xenia, this idea of being kind to strangers and having these untold social obligations between people, is what causes the Bronze Age collapse, because there's these mentions of the sea peoples that are raiding different areas in Greece, and the sea peoples is the direct reference to the sea peoples in the Bronze Age collapse, where in 1173, Bronze Age civilizations just all over the Mediterranean just overnight just start to, not literally overnight, but practically overnight, just collapse archaeologically to some degree. And there's this reference of the sea peoples that are raiding or pillaging or destroying these great civilizations of the late Bronze Age into the early Iron Age. And what Nolan essentially points to is that by violating this precedent, Odysseus, he has caused a domino effect to where this precedent is no longer being respected by anybody. You see this in his house, you see this all over the Mycenaean Greek world. The death of Agamemnon, killed by his wife, shows the collapse of these great kingdoms, where now the sea peoples are going to pick them apart because their leaders are ineffectual or dead and everything else. And that's what Nolan's arguing. And I think that's a very interesting take, because the Trojan War is supposed to take in the Bronze Age, and Homer, the reciter, is supposed to take place in the Iron Age. And it's a very interesting way of framing this historical event.